This is Samantha Wolfhard. Samantha was a stay-at-home mother to 5 children. Her husband, Ernie, worked 2 jobs as he did his best to provide for his family. In 2014, Samantha had grown tired of life, and she decided she wanted to become rich and famous.
Hello, YouTubers. I have been, surfing the web like I always do, and I found a video or a story, and it has like a video with it, and I'll post links in the description box. This one's really messed up.
The problem was that Samantha wasn't very interesting. She didn't provide anything new to the competitive platform, so she struggled to get views.
Hey, YouTubers. I was kind of doing some homework and
This case is one of those that sticks with you. Samantha Wolfhard, a mother of 5, seemed like she had it all together, but beneath the surface, her desperation for fame and escape from her marriage led to a horrifying crime. As we dive into her story, you'll see how her lies unraveled, pulling others into a deadly plan. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most dangerous motives hide behind the most ordinary faces. Let's get into it.
I'm not just like, hey, I'm kind of out there. Hey everyone, I wanted to say happy 4th of July with a fireworks display.
Samantha's lack of success caused issues in her marriage. After a hard day's work, Ernie enjoyed playing video games, which Samantha hated. She wasn't getting attention from YouTube or her husband, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. In 2015, Samantha called the police in the middle of the night, claiming that her husband had been kidnapped and she was tied up at her home. The police looked into the couple's history and noticed that Samantha had called the police on Ernie more than once, so they brought her in for questioning.
Have we heard anything?
We're still working on everything. Each one. Have a seat for me.
The interrogation starts with questions about an incident that took place a year before. According to police reports, Ernie had gone to a party, and when he got home, Samantha called the police. She claimed that Ernie had attacked her and her children.
Has there been anything else going on as far as anything else make you think he might be cheating?
Other than him just being home late, he gives me access to his phone, his email. He completely asked what about saying there's nothing going on, but why are you home late every night?
What's your good instinct?
So far, it's back there in my mind saying that, yeah, I kind of thought that was the case, but there's no evidence to show that it was. Not like back when that happened, which, of course, after that happens, that's going to be my first shooting. He's already done it once, doing it again. But this time, I feel like there's something he hasn't been telling me, but I don't know what.
What's your gut feeling tell you?
I think it's something to do with his dad.
What do you think would be going on with that?
I hate, and I'm usually right, and I hate that, but his dad has a problem with getting involved in things that he don't need to be getting involved with.
Such as?
Drugs. He's brought drug addicts to my house. I know for a fact. Like, they are drugged out of their mind. They stop by for a minute. It's been since before the last time he came out, because when I found out his dad was lying to me that he knew his son was cheating on me at that party and he was lying in my face, I told him I didn't need anything to do with him after that. So he hadn't been back around. Other than he stopped by like 2 weeks ago for about 10 minutes. So you left job A, went by job B, that you don't even work today, had to make your dad a pizza, and what, take it out to his house? No. And then it was dropped, and then I was like, why is there a vehicle pulling in to drop? And it was his dad. Just stopped by to pick up the pizza that he made for him.
Samantha is building the narrative that Ernie's father uses drugs, and Ernie is a part of that somehow. This would be a great way to explain the kidnapping. Maybe Ernie accrued a very large debt from purchasing the drugs, or maybe he worked with his father as a drug dealer.
Well, that factory.
Right from the start, the police weren't buying Samantha's story. She called them in a panic, claiming intruders kidnapped her husband, Ernie, and tied her up. But this wasn't her first call about Ernie. There was a pattern. A year earlier, she accused him of attacking her and her kids, yet here she was, calm and collected during questioning. That history made the detectives dig deeper, suspecting this wasn't just a random crime. As we hear Samantha spin her tale, notice how she deflects blame onto Ernie's father, trying to paint a picture of a drug-fueled conspiracy.
And with all of the things I've heard about Ernie and all of the things he's let slip about how good he is at dealing, I almost wonder if he wasn't trying to get his son started as one of his little runners and slowly starting him in. I need you to drop this off over at such and such location. I need to drop this off at such and such location. And he was making drops for his dad and bringing the money back. That's why he was so late every day.
Has he been using any drugs?
No.
What about you?
No. And I can take a test right now.
So you haven't, have you had in the past used any drugs?
Me? No.
Never been involved in cocaine, methamphetamines,
No.
nothing?
No.
Ecstasy, none of that? No drugs, marijuana?
Nope. I tried marijuana once, and it was not for me. I was like 15 and wanting to try things. I might have been 16. I was a teenager rebelling. And my parents always told me, no, don't do this.
Sure.
And the feeling it gave me that I'm not in control of myself feeling, I haven't touched a single thing since.
Well, over the last few days, last week or so, how's everything been between you and Ernie and the last couple of weeks? Have been okay?
Other than just...
Of course, obviously you understand when something like this happens involving a spouse, obviously, you know, I'm sure you've seen the news, you've seen deals when a wife goes missing, you look at the husband, or vice versa, look at the wife. You know, if the husband's missing, you look at, you know, start with their inner core people, family, friends, all that, and then start working our way out, you know, to make sure that, rule all them out first to make sure that they're...
Well, I mean, you've got my family here, you can ask them, my mom talks to me every single day.
Samantha spends the next 20 minutes explaining the events leading up to when they went to bed together the night Ernie was taken. She describes her duties as a mother as being an inconvenience to her. Her days are filled with misery as she caters to 5 children and a tired husband.
So we went to bed. He went to bed. I was trying to find a remote so that I could watch Vampire Diaries, because I'm highly addicted to that show. I ended up not able to find the remote. He had his head all covered up and he was, I thought, asleep. He pulled his head off from under the covers and was like, I can't sleep. Why? Because I can't stop thinking. What about? What's going on? I want you. Like, I'm not going to be able to sleep until I can. So we had sex and went to bed and woke up to all that chaos. So it was a perfectly normal day. There was nothing out of the... He was late home from work, but other than that, there would be nothing that lately that's become normal. And I don't even know, like I said, he said, usually it's always at Hastings, he told me that at 2:30, which is an hour before he's supposed to get off work, the design he had made for this new bat had been like 1/8 of an inch off, so it was going to cut part of the design off, and then when they shifted it on the bat, it looked completely wrong, so he had to completely redo it. Could be just some big, long, elaborate lie, or it could be perfectly true, I don't know, but he didn't make it home until like 5:40.
It's obvious that Samantha did not trust her husband. This could stem from Samantha spending so much time alone with her children that she overanalyzes everything about him. It's also possible he could have a history of being unfaithful.
What's your first memory of what's going on?
Well, I took an Ambien, so it makes it a little harder for me to wake up. And I have a prescription with me if you want to see that. But when I can't sleep, it's supposed to shut your brain down so you can go to sleep, but also make it to where you can wake up fairly easy. Of course. I remember at some point it was a little after 1. I saw the clock. Maybe on my phone. So it's still pretty foggy because it's fairly early to wake up after taking a sleeping pill. Somebody jerking the blankets down, which startled me. And then something being pressed against my throat, and they grabbed me by the hair and started jerking me out of bed. I, at that point, wasn't even aware of what was going on with him. until he already had me slammed face down on the ground and was tying my hands together. And I rolled my head and looked to the side and could see some commotion going on, but it was pitch black in my room. One of them had, I don't know if it was attached to their gloves, because they were all wearing gloves. I don't know if it was like a mechanism that was attached to a glove or one of those little like headlight things wrapped around their hand or a flashlight. And it sounds crazy, but it seemed like his hand was open and he had a little bit of light coming, because it was like a little mini flashlight. It was small. I don't think he had a cell phone in his hand, because if I am remembering perfectly correctly, I feel like his hand was open and it still had light. So I don't know if it was something that was attached to his jacket, but that's how they were seeing. And he flashed in my eyes at one point, which made it seem even harder, which is how I know for a fact, like, when he went like this and flashed it in my face, I swear his hand was open, so he wasn't holding on to something.
From the very start of the interrogation, Samantha has appeared very calm, despite the very traumatic situation she has just gone through. Even as she describes the terrifying events that occurred earlier that night, we don't see any emotions associated with a traumatic event. This continues until her children are mentioned in the conversation.
The guy that was, it was all guys. I don't remember hearing a female voice. And to me, just a bunch of shut up, bitch, don't make any noise, don't make me have to hurt you, blah, 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 and hold still, hold your hands together. And I was trying to be as cooperative as possible because I didn't want to die. I'll do whatever you say, just please don't kill me, I've got kids. There's a bunch of fighting going on, but I can't tell who's who or what's going on, just that there's other commotion going on, so I knew that they wanted to woke up. And then somebody that was dealing with him said, get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of here. And that's when he dragged me over, not far from the kids' bedroom. And I was praying to God, they never went over there and realized there was any kids in the house. And they kept hitting him, Every time I kept clapping things around his head because my eyes were adjusting at this point. And I'm able to see more. And what they were wrapping around his face was white. And they just kept wrapping around his face over and over. So basically, like, this part of his face down was completely wrapped up. I don't even know if he was able to breathe. I know that when they wanted an answer from him, they jerked it down like this. But before that, I don't even know if he was able to breathe. And they tossed his hands on his back. And I don't know what they used to do that. I didn't see. And then they got him down the stairs and left me upstairs with a guy holding a blade on me. And I could hear him hitting him in the living room and yelling, but I couldn't tell what was being said.
Samantha's account of the kidnapping is chilling, but something feels off. She describes intruders yanking her from bed, pressing a blade to her throat, yet her voice barely wavers. For someone who just went through such trauma, where's the fear, the panic? When she mentions her kids, you'd expect raw emotion, but instead, she's eerily composed. It's almost like she's reciting a script. This is where the cracks in her story start to show, and the detectives are picking up on it. Keep an eye on her demeanor. It's a clue to what's really going on.
I'll take a hit.
Samantha's narrative is slowly coming together. She started with Ernie's father pulling him into the world of drugs, and she ends it with the kidnappers mentioning Ernie's father's name. But why just Ernie and not his wife? Well, Samantha already has an answer to that ready to go.
They asked him who I was, and he said I was his wife, and they said, so she's just married into your family. She's not actually blood your family. He said, no, that's my wife. They said, do you want us to have to kill her too? And he said, no, please don't, how are my kids? And they hit him in the mouth. Are my kids okay? And they hit him in the mouth, and he said we wouldn't fucking touch a child. They took me back upstairs before they left.
Now, did you hear anything at all that they were saying or what they were talking about as far as...
No, when I wasn't in the room.
Okay. When you were in the room, what were they talking about? What were they saying?
Mostly just your dad caused this. Keep this in mind. Your dad caused this. And then he would throw jabs at him about being a terrible husband or unappreciative of his life. You had a wife that loves you. Look at her face. Isn't she beautiful? Look how much she loves you. Look how much she's crying.
I know you said something about some money or...
Yeah. He said, what do I have to do? Please don't kill me. What do I have to do? And he said, $20,000. You want to know what you have to do? Can you come up with $20,000 in the next 5 minutes? And he's kind of laughed, which caused me to hit him again. And he said, no, I can't come up with $20,000 in 5 minutes. You can take my truck. You can take whatever's in my wallet. I don't have much. But it's the only thing worth value I've got.
After taking pictures of Samantha's injuries, the detective decides to ask her if she had anything to do with the case, just to see how she reacts.
You have no idea who might have taken him, what might have been
The only thing I can think of is his dad screwed somebody around and they were trying to get back at him.
But you yourself, you didn't have any involvement in this?
No.
With nothing whatsoever?
I had no idea that anything was going on until I was yanked out of bed.
Now, have you been seeing anybody else? Or?
No.
Okay, so you haven't been. It's not another jealous boyfriend
Nope.
or nothing like that going on?
Nope.
Nobody that...
No, when we decided to work things out, He's had access to my phone to go through my phone.
And when y'all were split up, was there anybody?
No, I go out and visit my mom a lot and go to the bar there. And I met quite a few people that were friends and stuff, but nobody that was anything special.
Nobody that you were intimate with or anything
No.
like that would have some kind of an attachment to you
No.
or anything? You didn't get into a fight?
No.
Things didn't get out of hand? You didn't shoot him, you didn't stab him, you didn't hit him with a bat?
No.
A piece of metal, kick him in the face, you didn't do anything
No.
to cause any kind of injuries to him?
No.
You're positive about that?
Yes.
And I'm
Like I
not
said,
gonna find out anything any different about that. Right now, what we've got is, I don't know if you're familiar with what they call tracking dogs, okay, that track scent and everything. I've got those dogs. They're probably already up at your house right now. That came from the prison in New Boston. Okay,
that's what I asked that guy. One of the other deputies was, "Can I give you some of his clothes? And go search the area where his cell phone pinged."
They're going to be tracking that area where his cell phone. They're going to be tracking the area there at the house. But what I have to make sure from you is that you absolutely had no involvement in this whatsoever.
No.
Okay, so like I say, you two weren't fussing, you weren't
No.
fighting, didn't get out of hand, you didn't punch him, kick him, stab him, shoot
No.
him, nothing like that. I'm not going to find out anything any different later once
No.
we get there, because the deputies, they're out there right now, basically searching your house from top to bottom for every piece of physical evidence that we can find to detect.
Anything that'll help them find it.
Sure. Well, actually, say that's why I want to make sure, because we're going to be checking your phone records, your family's phone records. Was there anybody in your family that's involved in this?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Not that you're aware of.
No.
Would there be any reason why any of your family members wouldn't be involved in what hurt Ernie?
Brett's had problems with him in the past, but as far as taking it to the point of kidnapping him, no.
So you think, well, obviously you know Brett's voice, so you...
I would know Brett, yes.
Okay, so you,
Very well.
So you don't feel like Brett had any
No.
involvement in this? What about your mom or anybody? Any of them got any problems with Ernie?
No.
To the point that I want to do something like
They've had their little problems or whatever, but nothing that would go to this level, no.
And I'm not going to find any kind of evidence to the contrary that
No.
you were involved in. What about a polygraph? Would you be willing to take a polygraph
Yes.
to prove to me that you had no involvement, no knowledge, no nothing
Yes.
involved in this? Okay. So that's probably going to be a possibility, depending on what we're
Sorry, my Facebook's attached to my phone and it vibrates every time somebody makes a status update.
I understand. But part of the procedure also, like I said, we're going to be, checking your phone records for the last few months. We're going to find any kind of, establish anything as far as anybody that's involved in this and not connected to your phone?
No.
Okay. You're sure about that?
Yeah, I would recognize a voice that I knew.
No, I'm talking about as far as you being involved in your husband's experience.
No.
Well, I mean, just because a person cooperated doesn't mean they didn't do something. Obviously, if someone wants to throw us off.
Have I thought about it? Have I thought about stabbing him? Oh, more than once.
Okay.
Have I thought about shooting him if I had a gun? The thought is, and I'm not going to say the thought hasn't crossed my mind. He's had me to the point that I wanted to kill his ass.
And that's what happened last night?
No.
He didn't have you to that point last night?
No. We were not fighting at all.
So what would get you to the point where you want to shoot him or stab him?
To see him lay his hands on my kids.
When's the last time you did that?
Back when I had him arrested.
He hasn't.
And I informed the cops then, he's got to stay away from me because after doing this to my kids.
But he hasn't done that since? Okay.
No, that was one of the stipulations on us getting back together. He is not allowed to discipline them at all.
Okay. So as far as last night?
No, we were getting along great. There was nothing.
Okay. So I'm not going to find anything to the contrary to show nothing. Deputies aren't going to call me here in a few minutes and say, hey, look, what we found here on the scene's not matching what she's telling us.
No. And the only thing on my phone that wouldn't say to the contrary is he sent me a text message that said, answer your GD phone. Because he said he called me over and over and over and over and over, and I wasn't answering when I was up at the hospital.
As far as last
But then when I got, this was yesterday, and then when I got home, things were fine. I expected to walk into him being mad because he swears he called me a million times and I didn't answer. But when I walked in the door, things were fine. I hope you had fun, baby. And he was just so calm and happy and loving.
Well, like I say, once the investigators are out there, they're not going to call me here in a few minutes and say, look, we found evidence out here in the country of what Samantha's telling you, that's what she's saying ain't what the scene's telling us. Because the scene's going to be able to, what you're telling me happened, and when they look at the scene out there, they'll be able to tell that that's what's going on. Okay. Now, as far as you haven't lied to me about anything,
No.
You haven't forgotten anything, nothing you need to change, nothing you need to tell me that's any different about what's going on, what actually happened out there.
No.
So you didn't lay your hands on her, you
No.
didn't touch her, you didn't have
No.
anybody touch her,
No.
you didn't have any involvement whatsoever
No.
in this.
Not at all.
When the dogs come out there, they're not going to leave us out there, find them there in the house, under the house, in the woods around the house, anything like that.
God, I hope not. I hope he's found alive.
Sure. Well, I hope so too. But like I say, that's usually when we have things like this. Obviously because you were actually there when this happened, so that's why I'm having to ask you all these tough questions and being rough on you on this because I need to know the truth. I have to absolutely know the truth that you had no possible involvement in this whatsoever.
No.
You love her?
I do. I wouldn't have gone back if I didn't.
What all were you willing to do to help me find him?
Whatever it takes.
Do you don't know where he is?
No, I don't. I wish I did.
You're positive?
I'm positive.
You have absolutely no idea where he's at.
No, I don't.
Do you know who we can call to find where he's at?
The only one I can think is Ernie, because they kept bringing him up.
Other than that, you have no
Other than that, I have no idea. None. He doesn't have any friends. I don't go out much. The one friend that I do really have lives in Sulphur Springs.
Right.
I don't like drama. I don't like having outside chaos, so I just stay home. I'm just a stay-at-home mom.
The plot thickens when Samantha's phone betrays her. A text to a man named Jonathan Sanford telling him to ditch Ernie's phone is a bombshell. Suddenly, we're not just hearing about faceless intruders. Samantha's pointing fingers at Jonathan, claiming he took matters into his own hands after she complained about Ernie's abuse. But Jonathan's story paints a different picture. A plan to rough up Ernie that spiraled out of control. The question is, how much did Samantha really know? Was she a bystander or the mastermind pulling the strings?
She mentions a man named Jonathan Sanford. Samantha went around telling people that her husband was abusive, and Jonathan happened to be one of those people. According to Samantha, Jonathan told her he would take care of her husband.
So I tell you what I want to do. I'll give you the opportunity to tell me what's going on here. And because I know you're not going to beat that boy. I know for a fact you ain't. Or at least that's what we're fixing to prove. With evidence we'll get out of the car off of his off of him. So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be against you in court of law. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You know your rights?
Yes.
How do you know your rights? You've been in prison?
I've been in prison. I've been in juvenile. I've been
Oh,
in county.
man, what's wrong with you?
Well, until here recently, before I got out, I just had an authority problem. But then I grew up after doing 6 years in prison.
Okay. If you can, you have a right to talk to a lawyer, have one present with you while I'm questioning you. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you for any question you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do you want to talk to me just a little bit about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what they're saying first, because I think you'll be honest, because our bear's dead. He's dead. But now, according to Samantha, you was just a bystander. Why, JoJo beat the living crap out of him up there in that room where y'all were looking, collecting evidence. Got other evidence outside. We've got enough to definitely prove. I've already seen something on him. I can prove that. Now, what she's doing is she's pointing her finger at you and said, well, hey, John Rebel was just a bystander. And then she come back and started saying how you was plotting and want to kill him, want to take care of the problem.
Never had nothing to go like that.
Well, personally, I think it's over a dope deal. What I think. But now you tell me, because we've got everything we need. We've got y'all, we've got everything. I mean, we're wrapping this up. Now all I need is to know and see what I'm going to charge you with. If it's going to be for murder, or if you're going to cooperate, and we find out possibly, because I can't make you no promises.
I know. I already know.
So now you tell me what happened.
Okay, this all started yesterday. Like you said, yeah, we talked to her about her problem with her husband and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Never did I plot to kill the guy. I have a problem with males hitting females.
And I do too.
That's what me and JoJo done fought 3 or 4 times over, because he has a bad habit of putting his hands on his fiance.
I agree. You're right.
Can't do it. She had a bad habit. Dude treated her like shit. I said, hell, if it was me, I'm accustomed to settling shit by fighting. Simple as that. I spent most of my life locked up.
So far, you and her are matching on your story. That's exactly what she said.
So, and I told her, I said, if anything ever happened, like yesterday, she was with us. He claimed he called her like 13, 14 times and had an attitude with her. He didn't. I had the phone in my pocket. I know he didn't call. The phone log on her phone shows that he only called one time at 12 something, and then another time at 5 something. Both times she answered the phone. So he had an attitude, threw a hissy fit, and she said, well, he's all mad, woo, told me this, that. I said, well, look, I said, it's like this. I just met you. I don't know too much about you, but you're one of my ex's best friends. I'm here to help my homegirl out, because really she's just a real close friend, like a little sister to me. She didn't have nobody there to help her. Her mom loves me to death, and that's about the only thing she could get. Well, I told her, I said, look, if I ain't even gonna lie, if I see you tomorrow with bruises, because by this time she had offered me to use her vehicle to take Charlotte home. And I told her, I said, if for any reason I see bruises on you and I can tell the difference between, I slipped and fell bruise to, I got the shit beat out of me. And I told her, I said, I'm going to beat the shit out of him regardless. I don't care. That's just me. That's how I am.
Right.
She told me, well, she did say that there's been times it's crossed her mind to do stupid shit, this and that.
Like what?
Like, basically, like not kill him, but like just beat the shit out of him, set him up, shit like that, right? And I told her, I said, well, damn. I said, you're talking to somebody that could do that, but I wasn't going to, though. She let me borrow the car. Before I took her home, though, the friend of mine went to his cousin's house.
Okay, let me stop you for a minute, John. Now, what I need is, if we're going to have a relationship here where we can trust each other, already I'm starting to sense you're changing the story a little bit, because realistically, everything you told me is identical to what she said. Now I'll tell you here in a little bit when I think she starts lying. But now so far, I can tell me your body language.
Well, no, I'm serious.
Okay.
We went to Mount Vernon. Matter of fact, if you check the mileage, it probably all add up to.
Okay.
We went to Mount Vernon. It's not a house, it's a motel, but my friend, the one I took home last night,
What's his name?
Tay, he went home. He was with
Ray
me.
Rams?
Yeah, he was with me when I was.
Yeah, I know Tay.
He was with me when
I don't know where he lives, but we're gonna have to go find him. If he was the third person, but go ahead, let's talk.
But he asked me if I could swing him by his cousin's motel room. I took him to his cousin's motel room. He went in, come back out, said that his cousin wanted to talk to her about something. I stayed outside with the kids. She went in, they were in there for about 15, 20 minutes. They come back out. We went, dropped her off at her house. I helped her unload the kids, take the kids in.
All three together.
When we get there, JoJo tells me I gotta get out. I'm like, I thought I was supposed to sit in the vehicle. He said, nah, you gonna come up in here with me too. They go in, I'm the only person that knows the layout to the house. So JoJo asked me, like, where they sleep at? I'm like, man, I don't know. That's where I get caught in the ear. So I'm like, man, fuck. Like, man, look, come on. And I just walked up, stopped, and told him, man, look, upstairs. I'm like, kids are up there too, though. Because the kids' room is upstairs also. They go up. I have to go up in the middle. It was JoJo, me, and then the last student. We go up. Go up. Then JoJo sits there, and that's when all hell breaks loose. Beat the living hell out the dude. Honestly, me personally, I do not believe Samantha really had a hand to play in it. I think that what she was saying just kind of got took too far.
Okay, so what happened? Who beat the hell out of him?
JoJo and the other guy. I was the only.
So what happened then after they beat the hell out of him upstairs? Then what happened?
He got drugged downstairs, got put next to the door. The other dude was upstairs, brought her down. Well, no, okay. They brought her down first. He did. The other guy brought her down first. And then JoJo made me come down. Dude came down, and he come down. The whole time he's got the gun to the dude's head. They come down. Get him down there.
Jonathan claims that he was with Samantha when she went into a hotel room to talk with a man named JoJo. After Samantha leaves, JoJo tells Jonathan about a plan to rough up her husband, so Jonathan decides to go along with this plan. After they bring Samantha and Ernie downstairs, JoJo starts saying things about Ernie's father, which confuses Jonathan. The reason they went over there was to scare an abusive husband into changing for his family. But suddenly, the narrative changes, and Jonathan has no idea what is going on, or at least he claims he has no idea.
I came back around the table and stood over here by the door. JoJo started asking him some random questions. Like, I don't even know. And it all had to do with the dude's dad. All the questions had to do with this man's dad.
Really?
I swear to God, everything had to do with the man's dad.
So you think he might have had a secret beef against him then because of his dad?
It might have been. I don't know. I do know it was something about dad owed money, blah, blah, blah.
That's why he was wanting to go there so bad, didn't it? It wasn't because he was hitting her, possibly?
I don't know. Like I said, it could have been. I do not think Samantha had anything to do with this. Because, yeah.
So then you're downstairs.
JoJo kicks the fool in the mouth, tells me to pick him up. So I pick him back up, sit him back down. Other dude comes in with her, puts her in front of him. JoJo makes the dude look at her, starts talking about how, now what do you think you can do? Because the dude said, all I want to do is be with my kids. Please don't hurt my kids. JoJo said, well, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? He said, what can I do to fix this? They start laughing. JoJo said, well, what do you think you can do? You think you can come up with 20 grand in 5 minutes? Just shakes his head like, who the hell can come up with 20 grand in 5 minutes in the first place? And all this has to do because your old man don't want to pay, some shit like that. I don't know exactly because the whole time I'm trying to, of course, I have a tendency again put in certain situations by my choice of who I hang out with.
Hey, but you can change that.
I can.
That's right. All right, well, okay, go ahead and finish the story.
From there, everything went from inside the house to outside the house. When we got outside the house, they had him up against the truck, hands still behind the back, had his face down like this.
What part of the truck?
The hood of the truck.
Okay, that makes sense. That's where, okay.
They went through the truck. Apparently, I'm supposed to drive off in this truck. So this is their plan, right?
Why don't they take the truck?
JoJo wanted the truck.
Okay. So then what happened? Go ahead.
So while they're doing all this, old boy goes back inside to make sure there ain't nothing else in the house. There's no phones or whatever, not right. Funniest part of it all, I know there's one phone that they don't have. Me personally, right? I don't say nothing. But when he comes back out, he tells JoJo everything's good. They wrap him up. They take the blanket, wrap it around him. And at this point is when I start thinking, damn, what the fuck's really going on? Because they put the dude in the back seat.
Of the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the blood in there.
And I'm sitting there thinking.
Which side? Passenger side or
Passenger.
passenger side, back seat?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Makes sense.
as we're going, they tell me, all right, go here, whoa, I'm driving. We go all the way out to the country. Get out to the country. Next thing I know, they walk off.
By themselves?
No, they walk off, stop, like they go off over here, like, okay. Let me see that card real quick. Like, this is the wooded area, there's a creek bed here, we're parked here. Alright, they walk off around this way a little bit, stop. You can see them through the trees, you can't really see them though. JoJo comes back around, tells me, hey, bring me a cigarette, and come on. So I get out and walk, and I'm like, man, what's up? We go over here, we go, and then all of a sudden they start cutting, I'm talking about straight thorn action, nothing but thorn bush. Go back in there, JoJo tells me, all right, stay there, so I stay back here. They come off a little bit deeper. A few minutes later, here they are coming back out. I'm like, man, what's up? They're all like, shit, go start the vehicle. Go start the vehicle, he throws me the keys. So I start running back to the vehicle, and in my mind process, this is my neck of the woods now.
So you know where you're at?
Yeah, this is my neck of the
We're
woods.
fixing to go out there, me and you. We're going back out there. Because everything you're saying so far is matching 100%.
Okay, and this is my neck of the woods. So I'm thinking, damn, you just threw me the keys. Well, before I got any further, the other dude pops out and starts coming with me. I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, I'm getting the vehicle too. Before I ever make the vehicle, all I hear is pop.
As soon as Jonathan tells the detective that he knows where the body is, they both get into a squad car and go to where Ernie is located.
I have not been by myself since.
Okay, let's go.
Just like you've seen, I didn't even have to keep coming when you came after me.
John. Let's go where the body's at, because he's coming through so far, and then we're going to go get the gun.
All 4 people involved, including Samantha, would be convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. The final nail in Samantha's coffin would be her cell phone. The police found text messages between her and JoJo, where she told him to shut off Ernie's phone and ditch it. As for the motive, the only real motive they found was that Ernie planned on leaving Samantha and she feared losing her children.
What a tragic end to this case. 4 people, including Samantha, convicted of murder and sentenced to life. The motive? Ernie was planning to leave, and Samantha couldn't face losing her kids. It's heartbreaking to think of those 5 children, now without parents, caught in the fallout of her desperation. This case shows how far someone can go when they feel trapped, and it's a gut punch to realize it all came down to fear and control. What are your thoughts on Samantha's choices? Let's discuss in the comments.